This is Drew Tignanelli, President of the Financial Consulate. I'm here to give you our second quarter commentary and tell you just in general what we think about the markets, and we also want to give you some financial planning and tax topics while we're here at the end of tax season. So let's start with the investment side. Very simply, still very cautious. And a lot of people are saying to me, Drew, why are you so cautious? You know, the market's going up and things are getting better in the United States. We're really chugging along, and you see it in the papers. They say it all the time, but I kind of disagree. Here's why I disagree. I look at the United States and I say, can the United States really be an economic engine of the world like it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago even? And the answer is, I don't think so. Well, why? So let's take the people over 60 years of age that are pretty much retired. They're living off of their savings, their investments, some pensions and so forth. They're concerned. They're not making a very good rate of return on their investments in the sense of, take for example, CD rates. CD rates are down to less than 1%. You know, you're not making a lot of money if you're investing in bank accounts making 1%. And the stock market certainly isn't turning out the 12 to 15% rates of return that it did throughout the 80s and the 90s. And so people over the 60s are concerned. People between the age of 40 and 60, they may have lost their job. They may have found another job. And if they did, it may have been at half the salary rate that they were before. And people below the age of 30 who may be just getting out of college, they're trying to find a job, they're just looking for their first job. They may have even found a job, but even if they did find a job, they're struggling with student debt. Student debt is a real big issue. Over $1 trillion of student loans outstanding, which some estimate that at least a quarter of them could potentially be in default already. It's just not an economic engine that you'd want to count on. Then take the emerging markets. Emerging markets are struggling with inflation. Why? Because Europe, the United States, and Japan are printing money like there's no tomorrow, and that money is going where it's treated best, into the emerging markets, which is causing inflation in those countries, and they are not interested in trying to push the economic growth of their countries at this moment in time. Then you go to Europe. Europe is a mess. It's going to continue to be a mess. I don't expect it to be resolved anytime soon. And the reason is because there's too much debt and not enough growth. There's only two ways to resolve a debt issue. Issue number one, or way number one to resolve a debt issue, is to grow out of it. Way number two to get out of debt is to inflate the economy and spend less than the rate of inflation for a few years. Well, in Europe, you cannot inflate your way out anymore because the currency of the nation, of the European Union, is being controlled by the European Central Bank. So no one country has dominion over that currency. Like here in the United States, if we want, our Federal Reserve could print all the money they want to create inflation and get us out of a debt problem if you want. You can't do that in Greece today because they don't control the currency. You can't do it in Spain. You can't do it in Italy. So your only way out is growth. And so how do you get growth? The only way to get growth is to create a free market atmosphere for capitalistic growth to happen. Well, they're the farthest thing from that. Let me give you a great example of this. It was in the paper the other day I read, and I was shocked at it. Well, here it is. Easter weekend, the price of eggs are going through the roof, doubling in price. And I'm thinking, that's strange. Why are eggs doubling in price? And I read the article, and the European Union has placed a ban on the limitation of space for chickens in chicken cages. So they demand that the space be larger for chickens. So what did the chicken farmers do? They killed enough chickens so that they had the space requirement to meet the European Union standards. You know, Europe is a mess, and they're a mess because of this type of regulation. Italy was regulating when a company, a store, can have a sale. You couldn't have a sale. If you wanted to wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to put meat on sale today, you couldn't do it in Italy. You had to wait until the until the Italian government told you when you were allowed to have a sale, what time of day and what day of the week everyone was allowed to have a sale. That kind of regulation destroys free market capitalistic growth potential. That's what Ronald Reagan did in 1980. He eliminated layers and layers of regulation of our country. He set forth the free market and he said, okay, now go. And that's what our country did. That's what Europe needs to do right now. They need to be more free market oriented. They've got to get away from the social programs. You cannot provide everything for everybody, and you cannot regulate every good deed that you believe ought to happen. So let's go to financial planning. Financial planning, everyone should be refinancing their houses, as they probably already have. You know, most people should know that interest rates are down to 4% right now. But here's the bigger one, the home equity credit line. I can't tell you how many times I tell clients, if you have equity in your house, get a home equity credit line. It doesn't cost you anything, and it's available for you when you need it in an emergency. When's the best time to ask a bank for money? When you don't need it. Do you need money right now? Probably not. Therefore, get your home equity credit line now, because I assure you, when you need it, the bank is not going to lend that money to you. It doesn't cost you anything. Just get it. Put it in place, hide it away in a drawer, and it's the best thing you'll ever do. I can't tell you how many times again that I've asked clients to call me and say, I need $50,000 or $100,000. They say, do you have a home equity credit line? And they say, no, I never did that. It is very important that everyone get a home equity credit line available on their house if they have equity in their home. Okay, so let's move into the taxes. The taxes, capital gains and losses. Brokerage firms are now required to report the cost basis of securities, which shows you the capital gain and loss for your tax report. Well, you know, they're doing a very bad job of it. We're going through our tax season. We're surprised at how often they're wrong. And they're wrong for all kinds of reasons. So the best thing to do is to get a tax report from us and compare it to the one that the broker's given you. Figure out where there are differences, and then figure out what's right and what's wrong. You can get your capital gain and loss report in your client portal. And if for any reason you say, what is a client portal, or where is the client portal, just call our office. Deanna or Mike or somebody here will either send a report to you if you don't do much with computers, or they'll tell you how to get into your client portal. It is very important. Even if you filed your tax return, still go look at the capital gain and loss report that we have done compared to the one that the brokers have given you, and make sure that your numbers are correct. You also have until next Tuesday to get your HSA, your IRA, and your Roth contributions in. And the HSA is $3,050 for singles, $6,150 for married, plus $1,000 if you're over 55. The HSA is the best of them all. Put money in tax-free, take money out tax-free. You cannot beat the HSA. That's the health savings account for those that have a high deductible health insurance plan. Now, the Roth IRA is one that a lot of people overlook also. If your income is within the limitations, and I'm not going to go through the numbers because I don't have enough time, but you can put $5,000 into a Roth or $6,000 if you're over 50. And the beauty of the Roth is, even if you're under 59 and a half years of age, you can take your contribution back at any time. So even if you're 25, 30, 35 years old and you got $5,000, $6,000 to put away, you should be putting it into a Roth IRA completely tax-free for the rest, as long as the government allows us to have it tax-free. And there's a really cool way to back your way into the Roth IRA through non-deductible IRAs. And if you're not familiar with it, if you don't have any traditional IRA accounts, you should contact us so we can explain how to do the non-deductible IRA into the Roth IRA. That's all the time I have. This is the end of the first quarter. We're headed into the second quarter, and I just have this to say to you. God bless.